that we just seen credited toward being called the Pyramid of the Magicians. So this particular Monk's Mound is standing roughly around the same height at 100 feet. Although Monk's Mound were small in comparison to the South American and Mesoamerican pyramids, it was the largest structure in the North America during prehistoric times. Okay, let's get into some more things. All right, and in contact prehistoric times. The builders at Cahokia also built 68 smaller mounds in their city. Southeastern people built earthen pyramids, earthen pyramids throughout the Southeast, including locations in what is now Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. They skipped and missed a lot of states like Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky. You know, we get into, they ain't even named Mississippi, and this is about the Mississippian culture. So just, you guys can do your own insert. The mound builders also built smaller constructions as far north as what is we known as Minnesota and Michigan. Most of these mounds were used for burial. How do you know that? Because they actually find the bones of the people who was buried inside of those. Unlike the pyramids or any structure in Africa that's credited towards being burial site, they haven't found any bones or anybody in none of the tombs or burial sites in Africa. And they say that the pyramids were built for the dead, and you haven't found a dead inside of them. You haven't found nobody dead inside of them, which is pretty strange. To me. Shout out to Rodney O. Lewis for the $5 Cash App donation. He said, y'all support the $5 challenge. Shout out to Rodney Lewis for saying that. Appreciate you for the $5 donation, brother. Yeah, y'all support the $5 challenge, man. Y'all want to get to the information, y'all like the information. Hey, we got some shit on her ready for you guys to go, man. So yeah, this is some heat that we're cooking up with, just dealing with pyramids in America. Okay. So we want to make that very, very clear when we get into some of this science. Bear with me. So let's get into some more feats. Shout out to everybody in the building, by the way. Drop a fire emoji in the chat if y'all can hear me loud and clear. I don't know if A1's still on here with us or not. He's been quiet. I don't know if his mic is acting up. Shout out to him. Shout out to everybody in the building. Drop a fire emoji if y'all can hear everything loud and clear. And drop a fire emoji if you guys are enjoying the live stream. All right. Try to put this on the screen for you. So now right here we have seawalls. And this goes back 5,000 BC. 5,000 BC is how many years, you guys? I want you to drop that in the chat before I move forward. If it's 5,000 BC, it's how many years ago? I want to keep you guys involved with the conversation as well. How many years ago is that? If the seawalls was being cultivated and constructed 5,000 years ago, how many years ago? I mean, if they was being constructed 5,000 BC, how many years ago is that today? Somebody said 7,023. That's absolutely correct. Shout out to Carbon Crowns for the about 7,000. Correct. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Everybody in the building. All right. So North American and Southeast cultures. Seawalls are structures engineered to protect the coastal line from erosion caused by the action of waves. Early American Indian dwellers in the swamps in the Keys of what is now Florida built sea walls by piling up enormous deposit of shells. The largest of the deposit was used as a seawall, was more than 10 feet high, and it was constructed mainly off of conch shells or some type of shellfish, right? Type of clown or some shit like that. Located in this seawall was a terrace and 5 mounds, including one that was shaped like a pyramid. All right. The archaeologist who studied the structures of the shells, Frank Crushen, described it as being as leveled and broad as a turnpike. Cushing believed that the early dwellers using shells to build up the Florida Keys, which he studied extensively, then built their dwellings on the human-made solid shell ground. You know what happens when you put shell together and you apply superheat to it? Just saying. The Florida Indians planted gardens in the mud-filled spaces between their particular areas. So they're just showing some of the science and some of the feats that they did. Now, when they said the archaic period before 5,000, now they saying that these are archaic people. Now, archaic only means time frame, much like paleo is referred to time frame. All right, we got A1 in here. We're gonna take a quick, brief pause. I'm allow A1 to add some insert and quality information to this. Go ahead, brother A1. You got it.
I'm just listening to what you saying, bro. You said the way that they took the shells and made a cement out of it or concrete, right?
You right.
That's the fucking same thing we just heard Longo talking about, right?
Right, correct.
Like so, like I said, a lot of this stuff it correlates, and we that's not the only the concrete we was using. We was using adobe, like he said, and adobe is all the way adobe, man. Man, I don't, it's so much shit that got adobe on it. That's like even the plaster that you see, like on some of these ancient structures, the outside finish, that stucco look, that shit is ancient.
No, it is. It's very ancient, man. When you look at some of these structures and some of the science applied, it just said that these people in Florida built sea walls.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
built
yeah,
a
yeah. That's a
wall to
fact.
stop the coastal erosion. You know how much work they would have did to build a wall up and down the whole fucking coast of Florida to prevent waves from eroding the particular area? Who thinks of that?
You know what
And
the
who to
crazy part is
know
about
that?
that too?
Seven. Who thinks of that 7,000 years ago? That's what I'm
Hmm.
saying.
And you know what the crazy part about that is, AP? They still I was in Japan. They streets is made of concrete from shells. And he did and then they got the sea walls and stuff. Ain't none of
Right.
this shit new, bro. We didn't taught these people everything.
Well, listen. Well, what I know is not new, and that's what we're proving. But there's people running around saying that a lot of this science is new. A lot of this information is new. This is new stuff that the people in the 1920s have wrote about our people. This is not our true history. This is what people are saying. This is why it's very important for me to be serious when dealing out this information pertaining to our culture, inventions, and innovations. We just
That
showed you
and
that
look,
someone
that's what
was
I'm
taking
saying. That
science.
that's that right there. That's an instant L because, like I said, and see the thing of it is it's not just because the American Indian Encyclopedia said it. It's not just that. We're like okay, all right. Well, that's a book. That's another book that just said it. Nah, the American Indian Encyclopedia got sources in it, and the sources got other sources in it. Like so, when you research like some of the sources on some of these so-called particular inventions, or some of the stuff that we had in our civilization, or whatever, it got other it got multiple different sources to the people saying this shit. They ain't gotta say, okay, well, the people who was here already built sea walls and all this type of shit. They giving the credit to us. They ain't giving the credit to nobody else. They giving the credit to us and people the time and time again. Oh, they built the buildings in the 1920s and all this other goofy shit. Like at the end of the day, like that's another European rocking you right back to sleep. You might as well just go back to being a Pan African at this point in time because you
Absolutely.
gotta know that they got historical traps for your ass.
They do, and they try to set you up by giving you a primitive history and alluding of people that is not connected to this culture. We're talking about people who has an advanced understanding of awareness of their surroundings and being able to take the initiative to prevent certain things that happening. This is science. How can you build a seawall without science? Who's thinking of building a seawall 7,000 years ago?
Shit,
I just
my
want
ass, boy.
that's very important to keep that
Have
in
you ever
mind.
seen the way Miami and the coast of Florida is made? Have you ever seen how that shit is constructed?
Yes, I
Like
almost believe that the Bimini Roads is literally a pathway from ancient societies, literally building there. I believe they built that particular Bimini Road during the time that sea level waters was low, and they went out and built that road to construct some type of feat of engineering in that area. We need to look over there in that area. Uh, very, very hard, you know, because I'm pretty sure it's something of significance there.
It says 2,500 feet underwater, bro. It says a whole complex. It says miles and miles and miles of structures underwater. Miles and miles and roads and all that shit down there. Like, you know, 2,500 feet underwater.
Right,
You know,
man. Listen, we
so
got 139 people in this live stream. We ain't even got cooking up yet. We got A1 Truthful on here. Listen, we got 139 in here. We just get a few people to hit that like button, please. If y'all don't mind, let's get a few people to hit that like button. We got 105 likes. Let's at least get 25 more likes in the building, you guys. If you are enjoying the live stream, let Big Original Power know, man. Send in a donation and let the brother know. All right, let's get into some more of this history that we got for you guys. Get into the Anasazi. The Anasazi, whose culture arose in what is around 350 BCE in what is now Mexico, as well in what is now Utah and southern Colorado. So you hold on, how the Anasazi arose in three different areas?
that's
Hmm.
what I'm trying to tell you. Because that's three different histories. The Anasazi,
Hmm.
if you look it up, you gonna find out the Anasazi is the Iroquois.
Mm-hmm.
They the same fucking people. And they ain't just, and that's what I'm saying. Like they use this history to where they can pinpoint shit and put it where they want to put it at and confuse people. Whether you when you the research and the history don't line up with some of this shit that we be hearing.
So listen, the Anasazi, which is located in Mexico, Utah, and southern Colorado, constructed stone pueblos and towers. The Inca, whose established empire in what is now Peru about 1000 AD, are considered to be the masters at architectural stonework. This out of they the masters out of everybody in the world. Craig, the Inca. The Mason, let's see, the Inca, the stonemasons constructed a variety of structures, including apartment houses, right? Some of us still live in apartments today, right? Some of you guys live in apartments, pyramids, and field turrets, and also buildings that they constructed centuries ago have withstood earthquakes and are still standing today. Okay. Into it. The Olmec are thought to be many art. The Olmec are thought by many art historians to be not only the first but also greatest stone sculptures in pre-contact America. Well, it's arguably we can say that the Olmec did they motherfucking thing when it came to high relief carving. They have some of the most notable known high relief carvings known around the world that they call Olmec statue heads. They done found them in Levant. They done found them at Exmol. They done found them at La Venta. They done found them at various different sites. And it's not regular carving into the rock. It's shaving around the rock to actually give you the image, a 3D image. That's high relief carving. How long would it have took for someone to know that? I don't want to draw in the rock. I want to shave around the rock, giving it a three-dimensional look. So I can get more creative with the detail of the particular face whom I'm constructing. This is advanced.
If you look at Montezuma Castle, that shit looked like it was like that shit was carved out, man. Chiseled that shit. Don't ask me how, but the way it is inside the inside of that cabin, it looks like, we had to have that type of science.
Yeah, man. My bad. Step away. Had to get something to drink. Shit. Shout out to everybody in the building. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, man. So I'm ready to get to some more information. Shout out to Rodney Gilmore for the $25 Cash App donation. We really appreciate that, Rodney Gilmore. He said, "Fire as Bill." I'm glad you believe it's fire. I believe it's going to get even more fire as we get into this conversation and getting around into some information. Okay. Shout out to everybody in the building. All right. So the Olmec is known to create these great, magnificent artwork that they call statues and high relief carvings. The basalt and jaded or jade working are a serpentine more frequently than any other material, although they produce statues that were 5 to 6 feet in height. They're also best known for their massive stone pieces that are carved of one of the which weigh more than 20 tons. All right, so not only just the carvings of the huge stones, they got other things like what I showed you the other day, Fountain Laventa, the stone carving statue of the plumed serpent with the guy inside of it. That's a high relief carving created by the Olmec as well. That's just another reference point.
Yo, I stood next to an Olmec head in the American Museum of I can't remember. It wasn't a MoMA. It was the American Museum, I think, of modern day history in New York, right? And that shit was like it had to be about 10 feet tall.
Damn.
Damn,
Hmm.
you saying they made 10 feet tall head statues?
That shit was 10 feet tall. I'm 6'2", and
Damn,
that shit was taller than me,
damn, I want
like
to have that.
by a lot. Like I mean, not by a lot. It ain't double me, but it was taller than me.
Like, do you know the type of precision and tools you would need to do something like that, bro? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, man, you gotta have some very sophisticated science. So let's move on with some of this Aboriginal American history 101. The stonemason tools that were made of broth rock and metal. When Yale University professor Robert B. Gordon studied a collection of metal objects taken by the Hiram Bingham from the Machu Picchu, he found 13 instruments made of bronze. After testing and analyzing them, he concluded that 12 of them were chiseled used for stoneworking. Now let's get into this. The Inca, which who said they said was the masters of this, the Inca stonemasons are believed to have made finer cuts with saws consisting of wires and fine copper or bronze blades. They used these in combinations with abrasive and water. Performing preformation into some of the rocks and the Inca structures show that they are arranged in a sort of drill bit. So they use a drill bit to some of these places, the drill holes, the interlock, these particular things. They didn't use any mortar. They used literally the stone to lock within the other fitting stone. Because the Inca had no draft animals and blocks of stone were hauled from quarry by humans, probably using a complicated system of inclined planes and levels. I don't know what exactly that means. Once the stones had been curried, the builders cut them into shape, dressing them with rock hammers called jawa or the jayo, jawayo. It is the Inca language. All right. The hammers were made in numbers of sizes, the heaviest being 22 pounds. They had a 22-pound hammer. Now, look at this. This is used with no mortaring. They use precision blade, bronze blade to cut a lot of this to fit these stones together. And listen, scientists said that they can't even put a blade through some of these today. Scientists said they can't even put a blade through some of these today. Okay. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. I want everybody to hit that like button, man. We just getting into some of this Inca stone working. You look at this images right here. Let's read what they have for this particular image. This is also found in the Library of Congress. We'll go to reference point where you can go look up this at today. Okay, so let's zoom in just a tad. All right, the Inca stonemasons used a technique called cellular stonework. This involved carving blocks into polygons and then setting them so they interlock. They cut the stones with such precision that it's impossible to push a razor blade through between the blocks today. This is what it says right here below this particular image. So they said you can't even push a razor blade today through these particular stones. And you can tell that this lady right here in primitive clothes and a primitive chair did not build this sophisticated technology. Okay, I just want to make that very clear. Okay, shout out to everybody in the building. So they couldn't even put a razor blade through, and they used a technique called cellular stonework. So when somebody asks you, well, what kind of style they used? Cellular stoneworking. Okay, cellular stoneworking. So let's move on. I don't know how the fuck I got way back here. What the hell going on? All right, we'll get into ventilation systems. This will include the rest of my build of Aboriginal History 101, Pyramids of the Americas, Science of the Gods. All right, so let's move on up. Ventilation. This goes back 1000 BC to 200 BC. And I believe that's argued. I just don't believe that they found evidence of it because we have buildings, structures, houses, apartments, temples, and pyramids going back 5,000 to 7,000 years ago. And I'm pretty sure they had some type of ventilating system through these particular areas. So let's read on. A ventilation system is designed to convey air through ducts or shafts. The pre-contact Shavan people, whose culture flourished in what is now in Peru about 1000 to 200 BCE, were the first American Indian cultures to build ventilation systems in all their buildings. They built pyramids in what archaeologists believe to be ceremonial buildings in the North Peruvian highlands. The most notable of these particular buildings is called the castello or the castle because it resembles to a castle. No, it don't resemble a fucking castle. You're literally talking about someone doing HVAC in a fucking castle 3,000 years ago. Somebody was doing HVAC in a castle 3,000 years ago, and that someone was your American Aboriginal ancestors. This is Aboriginal History 101. Anybody got any questions to this that we're reading on? That we have on?
Man, that AC must be good as hell, bro. Cause you know, I mean, because they always talk about, oh yeah, these civilizations, we don't know how they did it, but they're very primitive. But yet, you showing dudes was doing HVAC in castles without these metal, like without the vents and the generators and all that crazy ass stuff, man. It's like, dog, like we was doing some shit out here, yo. And I know HVAC because I do electrician, I do HVAC, and it's like, bro, you got to go through all this struggle of getting the coolant and all this crazy ass shit. These motherfuckers is like, yep, just make a hole here, make a hole here, make a vent, and you got AC. Like what?
Let's get into what was in these castles. Now, the building made of cut stone, and you can go see stone masonry to see how they did that, which is what was it called? Cellular stoneworking, right? They built these without windows or chimney holes. Was approximately 235 feet by 235 feet. It was a full square and 45 feet high. You know, the height was 45 feet. It had 3 stories and it contained ramps, stairs, room, galleries, and a maze hall. I mean, in a maze of walls. And the unique ventilation system composed a horizontal and a vertical duct built into the solid stone. This system still conveys fresh air throughout the Shanve peoples today. So they still use this particular temple, and it still provides fresh air today. After 2,000 years of illustration and construction, it still provides fresh air today. And this is accredited to the Adena culture. We're gonna get into some of the sources for this. If you look right here, it says Alden Mason, the ancient civilization of Peru. You got Gordon Willie, the introduction of American archaeologists, Volume 2, South America. Cliff Inglewood also helps credit it with that. That's sources for this particular one. And this will include today's build. Well, maybe I should go on just a little more. Maybe I should go on a little more. If you guys are enjoying it, I'm enjoying it too, man. Let's get into it. Where are we at? Where are we at? Let's find some more heat. Wasn't they plan on extending? I was only going to do an hour, 45-minute build pertaining to this topic. But since we're here, we have a few brothers and sisters. Let's get into a few things. All right. We'll get into some other feats that is not never really credited towards our ancestors, but they also make these same feats today, which is in the medical field. Go ahead, brother A1. If you got the floor real quick while we got an intermission and pulling up a few things.
No, I was gonna say it's amazing how they, what I'm saying, how they found evidence of a lot of these sciences, like even concrete. You know what I'm saying? You think that Europeans came up with that idea, concrete, or you know what I'm saying? Like, cause we ain't in that industry no more, or we ain't doing that no longer. Like even carpentry and electrician and a lot of stuff that our ancestors knew how to do that we can still remember. You know what I'm saying?
So imagine the stuff that we can't remember through colonialism and colonization. Imagine the things that we can't remember. You see what I'm
Man,
saying?
man,
They
you
knew
know
how to
what's
farm. They knew how to fix cars. They knew how to do electrician. They knew how to do carpentry. So that's all survival shit right there, right?
Yes.
you know what the crazy part about this is? The advancement of this architecture, this the irrigation systems, the AC, and all this stuff is just beyond like you know beyond anything people could really think of. And if we were to implement these type of technological advancements of architecture today, it would eliminate the monetary need for AC, for electricity, for all this stuff that for running water. You know what I'm saying? It's like they didn't brought us 50. They brought us back to the Stone Age. We was already like fucking 3250. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they did a number on us, bro. And they like I said, they control the history. So they control what people know and what people think. And what you know and what you think and your perception, it plays a part on your reality. Like what people perceive they were, slaves and all that shit. That shit plays some type of psychologically, what I mean? Well, it psychologically damage you, definitely, just knowing that, right? And then once you start doing a research, start seeing other, even if you're doing from a black history, they show you the inventions. Most of them are black people. But see, the twist is with this was, white people taught them how to do it. White people taught a motherfucking inventor how to invent something. Unfucking believable.
Yeah, it seems like some people confused on what is a pyramid. So I would like to just give a brief introduction. Like I said, this is Aboriginal History 101, so we want to make sure we're breaking this thing down methodically when we have brothers and sisters in the chat that may be confused. So let's get into this right now. This is the science of the pyramid, pyramid shapes, types of pyramids, and let's get into it. Pyramid shape. This is a three-dimensional polygonal. Okay, with a slant. You go another type of pyramid. You go to square base pyramid with a slight slant. It's given also the diameter and the geometry numbers on each one. I will drop the link to this source. We go a pentagonal shape. Here go another one, shaped more like the pentagon, right? Pentagonal shape pyramid. Here go the obtuse pyramid with a Q, the obtuse, Q, whatever it is. Excuse me. So, and these are, of course, a list of other styles of pyramids that can also be built as well. Olmec's built a circular pyramid, if you're not familiar with that particular circular pyramid that the Olmec's built. So that just explains what a pyramid is, you guys. Appreciate y'all for even bringing up the question. So yeah, and I can even show you guys, like I said, uh, pyramids built by the Olmec, circular pyramids built by the Olmec. So
They call mounds pyramids, but then some of the mounds
well,
are pyramids, but some of the mounds.
you got pyramids that's made of stone, adobe, and brick, and you have pyramids that's made of what we call earth workings. So there's different styles of pyramids, and then you have mounds which use earth workings, and you got mounds that also apply stone as well. So it does various combinations of this. You see what I'm saying? That's why it can get confusing to some of these people in the chat for what is a mound, what is not a mound, what is a
Okay,
pyramid, what is not a pyramid.
listen.
This is a
Uh,
circular pyramid from the
like
Olmec.
the way they show you. You can hear me, AP?
Yeah, my bad. I might be on a delay. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you.
Now, some
Can you
people
hear me?
might say that's a pyramid right there, right? But then some people might say that's a mound.
Same thing.
It might have an interest in it that goes under the surface. It might have an
Yeah,
interest that go underground.
no, it's almost a fact. They almost said every pyramid and every structure like this has underground storage niches. So they would have had residential and storage niches applied to these particular structures as well. So yeah, that's what those that just didn't understand. Shout out to everybody in the building. Let's continue our live stream. Like I was saying, uh, just this is just some bonus information pertaining to Aboriginal histories and some things that don't get credited towards our ancestors, which is technological and also medical feats and innovations. Surgery. American, South American, North American, and Mesoamericans was practicing surgery 1000 BC. All right. Surgery is a division of medical that uses instruments and a evasive techniques to treat illness, injuries, and deformities. The practice of surgery had a long history to the Americas before the arrival of Europeans. American Indian surgery was more sophisticated than that performed by the barber surgeons of Europe. The barber surgeons of Europe. Okay. You understand that? So
Wait,
the
wait, wait.
American.
Don't let that go nowhere. Hold up.
Okay.
All right,
You got
boom.
it.
Matter of fact, read that and then go down to the next after the
The next
pyramid
one.
through the next
Okay,
sentence.
let's get through it real quick. So, in the Americas, before the arrival of Europeans, American Indian surgeries was more sophisticated than performed by the barber surgeons of Europe at the time of contact. Although the Greeks and the Romans had practiced surgery in medieval times, knowledge of their techniques was suppressed. Islamic physicians living in Spain had practiced surgery, and one of them, Al Vuques, even wrote a surgical text. However, they were expelled from Spain and then discoveries ignored.
Now look, oh wait. Stay right there, real quick. Go back up.
I'm
Make
here.
some
I ain't
make some sense of what you just read.
Okay, let's get into this. So what we're often talking about is we're talking about a technique of surgery that is superior than anyone mentioned by Aboriginal people. Aboriginal people also is being correlated or compared to barber European surgery. It's compared to Greek and Roman surgery, and is now
But the barber is Berbers.
okay. Barber's Berber,
Berbers is where? North Africa, right?
North Africa, which is
Okay, then they say what?
it
They go to
also
the
It also talks about the Roman surgery. Well, we just said that. Then it gets into a later understanding in Spain. It gets into the Islamic physicians living in
hmm
Spain have practiced surgery. That one of the particular physicians even wrote a surgical text, or did he write a surgical text? And this surgical text was never looked or examined by medical use in that particular area. It was actually ignored, is what it said. And by the end of the Middle Ages, the most con- complicated document operations that European surgeons performed were a limited number of C sections and shit. You see what I'm saying? That's all they did. That was the most extreme science that they did, documented by Europeans, was a C section.
a
That's it.
C-section. That's what
Hey,
women get. That's what women get now. Hold on, wait. It's saying the removal of diseased breast cancer.
Yeah, yeah, and oh yeah, it said also C sections and the removal of diseased breast.
So that's science. So now, what do we see in common with that? With just physicians, we see that the Berbers, right? Then they
Right.
tell you the Greeks and the Romans, right? Well, all that shit started from the Americas and went over there. Don't you see the
mm-hmm.
commonality? What we've been saying?
Hell, the first heart
Berbers
surgery.
are North Africans, all right, according to
Out of
what we.
all these people, who's the most sophisticated,
Well,
according to their document?
but the Greeks and the Romans and the Greeks are the Minoans, right? They ain't no fucking Greeks over there. That's some shit they made up, bro.
Mm-hmm.
They made all that shit up, man. Greeks and shit. Like, nah, they
I'm
the
with you. I'm with
Minoans,
you. I'm with
niggas.
you. I'm with
They
you.
motherfucking
Listen,
niggas.
listen. So that was all the surgery that was found on the Eastern Hemisphere. Let's compare this in contrast to the indigenous ones of America, right?
Mm.
South Americans were executing delicate and complex operations using anesthetics, antibiotic, and medications. All right. So not only was we doing these particular things, we was also performing and giving these people medicines. Okay. All right. So let's get in down into a few.
That's crazy, yo. Not to mention the first heart surgery happened over here as well.
All right. Let's get into some of this. American Indians made scalpels from flint and chert and obsidian, which provided a micro sharp edge and minimizing bleeding from the incisions they made. Some cultures also made metal scalpels. You can look at metal surgeries in America for some of the Great Lakes areas. They use more of the copper and the metal. Besides performing amputations, American Indian physicians reduced fractures, breaks, and dislocated bones both manually and by surgery. Okay. So we're talking about real doctors. We're not talking about no play. We're not talking about make believe. We're not talking about Dr. Eyes. We're talking about real doctors performing real surgery thousands of years ago, 3,000 years ago. Okay.
And without getting no infections.
So they over there with the
And
Black
even when
Plague.
even when you did get an infection, they was able to accumulate a science called antibiotics that
Yeah.
they would give to
That's
you.
about they over there with the Black Plague, and as you read, they talking about draining fluid from your lungs. They was handling pneumonia over here like it was nothing.
But the Black Plague is actually like the late 1800s, bro. The Black
I
Plague ain't
know.
no 1500. That shit the late 1800s. That's
I know.
later
I
on.
know. That's that book,
They tr-
Dirty Old London. I know. They was doing all this back then, 3,000 years ago. Pneumonia, broken bones, all that shit. We just handle like it's nothing. That shit speak.
Now listen, let's get into this. Let's show you how they always disregard us and leave us out of history. Despite the surgical discoveries and skills, American Indians unformally failed to receive mention in medical history books. Yet colonists in North America sought out help from American Indian healers still to this day. Did you know that there's when you're going to medical, because I have a couple friends that's in the medical field, do you know you have to go take a trip and there's a segment when you have to study with a shaman? Did y'all know that? They have to study and sit down with a doctor, indigenous doctor, what they call a shaman, or what they would later used to call witch doctor. Did y'all know that? They still got to do this to this day. They failed to give us credit for our medical feats. Shout out to everybody in the building. If you are enjoying this live stream, hit that like button and thumb up the video. American Indian medical surgery practice and incorporated of some of these techniques into their limited procedures and treatment options. Okay, so now they even using American Indian techniques and still not giving credit to our ancestors. This is sad. Spanish
Yep.
conquistadors often preferred to seek treatment from indigenous physicians rather than submit to the knives of their own barber surgeons. They rather let a nigga that they hated, that they sister to colonize them. They rather have the mother that they colonize and work on them than their own peoples. Isn't anything else that needs to be said? Okay. That's beautiful. That's history that's credited towards your ancestors, and we don't get the credit for it. We don't get the credit for it, you guys. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building, along with also this medical feat. They also had syringes that they use. Syringes that was an abstract art to put fluids inside of your body. Is what they use. So they also have those as well. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. I kind of want to get into another system because they act like we didn't have government here. Like we didn't have an understanding. Like all this new system, this tax system, and this government, and this is new to no. It's not new to a group of people who's been civilized for at least 15,000 years in America. Okay, we ain't been just a people in America running around nomadic. You can't name a nomadic tribe in North America. Matter of fact, I want you to name, and you guys in the chat, to name a nomadic tribe in North America. You won't find them. As a matter of fact, some of the cultures are known for building and civilization. Some of them even has that as their culture name. They're called mound builder civilization. This is ancient information. We're tapping into the grassroots. This is Aboriginal history 101. Things you need to know when coming into the Aboriginal perspective. This is almost elementary ground entry level understanding right here. I want you guys to have a very clear understanding on this. Shout out to everybody in the building. I appreciate it if you can drop a fire emoji in the chat to get the vibrational frequencies back up. I love the energy, and it also lets me know that you can hear me loud and clear. Okay, so let's proceed. Tax systems. Tax systems go back in South America, Andre Kerr, Mesoamerican cultures going back 4,000 years ago. Tax systems going back 4,000 years ago. Taxes or fees or duties that are levied by people to order a support the government under which they live. Rulers have exact tax in their form of tribute for many parts of the world, including the Americas. Okay? Do y'all understand that? You got to pay your duties here. You never could just be a freeloader. Nigga, you got to put in work to live around here. And not only here, not to live up under the government that was protecting you. Oh, you didn't know we had government going back 4,000 years ago? Well, it just said it. So if you're a primitive people, how do you have a government? How do you have a government if you're primitive people? Shout out to everybody in the building. Let's continue reading. In some instances, American Indian taxation took a slightly different form from the practice in other parts of the world. All right, so we did something different than everybody else. The North American Indians made voluntary contributions to the well-being of the community. Compulsory taxation is developed in South America and in Mesoamerica along the bureaucracies and the administrations. These systems, right? The oldest tax system developed in the Americas began around 2000 BCE by the Ande cultures of South America. This is formed of taxation referred to the corvée. Labor systems required people to perform work as a form of contribute. For example, the Peruvian people were required to help build pyramids. So now we know that Peruvian families was involved and had to build pyramids to help pay their way for those that did not have commerce. We're talking about commerce. We're talking about building. We're talking about pay your way. You grow this, you do this, you do that. We're going to make this shit work. We're going to stack it up. We're talking about a tax system here. The workers were divided into many different teams for the projects. Those who were made adobe brick signed them. More than 100 different signatures of symbols have been found on adobe brick, bro. So they got more than 100 written words from some shit 4,000 years, from your ancestors 4,000 years ago. And that's the shit that barely stuck around. The other shit that they were documented on, because you know they could write if they was writing on the brick. You know they documented on other paper and forms of shit, right? Where are those records? Well, we know conquistadors and Jesuit colonists destroyed and took a lot of our records to hide a lot of the things that was going on in antiquity here. That's why it's a big gap in between the history of antiquity 4 to 15,000 years to present day, and we're filling in those blanks. Shout out to Unconscious One. There wouldn't be no Aboriginal community without a brother like Unconscious One. There wouldn't be no Al Powers here giving you this fire information today. So shout out to that brother. Let's continue. The Métis of the system required common people to perform government services. So 1,000 years ago, they had government services here. You had to it's like doing jury duty. You know how you get called for jury duty? You go to jail. That's a contempt. If you try to get out of jury, you got to do government duty when called upon. This goes back 1,000 years ago in America. If y'all liking this live stream, drop a fire emoji. Let your brother Big Aboriginal Power know that you're enjoying it. Send in a donation if you will. For those that want to support the channel, Cash App and PayPal information is at the bottom of the screen, ticking across. All right. Shout out to Darvis Baylock for the Cash App donation. He said from Goose Creek, South Carolina. Shout out to West Ashley, Goose Creek, and West Charleston, all the way to Folly Beach. Shout out to everybody in the Charleston area. Shout out to everybody in that Charleston area. All right, let's continue some of this information. A1, you want to make an insert on the taxation systems and how that apply to royalty and not primitive stuff? Do you want to respond to that just a little bit for the family? If we got A1 in here, I don't know if he's still in here or not. right, so let's get into a few things. We already at tax systems. I don't want to take a look at a few other things while we in here. So let's get into some of the let's get into some of this shit. Shout out to everybody in the building too, man. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the live stream. Traps and animals. A lot of y'all down south, y'all, shout out to my brothers in the south and some of my people in the Midwest that does some hunting, does a little trapping, and the gathering of these mega fauna of America. Paleo Indians and North Americans devised several means of obtaining food. One was through the use of traps. The most common trap that they developed was the snare. Everybody know what a snare trap is where you set up a some type of string or wire with a loop in it in the trail of whatever animal that you're trying to catch, and you'll place that circle down. You'll pick a wire and you'll put a loop on it with a circle end on it, and as you put your arm in, it tightens up. I can show you how to make a snare in no time. So it's a simple work, and it's a simple tool, and it's very, 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 very accurate. All right, so they will snare the deadfall or the pitchfall trap. The Inuits in the Arctic area, right, of North America. Now, these are North American Indians. They just in the cold areas like Detroit, Canada, Maine. You understand what I'm talking about? That's really Arctic areas, man. I'm tell you that right now. Hey, they use a unique style called spring trap to kill game. These traps were invented independently of those invented by early peoples in other parts of the world. All right, so but now listen, this shit go back 14,000 years. But 14,000 years ago, nigga was what? Just running around butt naked, creating little traps and shit. No, nigga had houses and they was going out to look for food as other food is being planted. Because at the same time we got trapping in animals, we got agriculture going on. Matter of fact, let's go to agriculture so we can see how far that go back as well. We're gonna go to agriculture. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody that's in the building, by the way. Let's go to agriculture. Let's find this right quick. Shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I'm gonna end it right here on agriculture, man. I think this would be a nice one. Take it out with. Before we go to agriculture, I do want to get into something else. All right. So before we get into agriculture, which is what I'm going to end it on today, I got to give it to y'all. We've been watching the Eagles versus the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? Right now, we watching basketball. I don't know if y'all watching it. You know what I'm saying? We got the 76ers looking pretty good. All these teams out here. Let's get into some ball games. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, big tall David, Tim Duncans. You understand me? That game of basketball go back almost 4,000 years ago. We talking about 3,700 years ago. 3,700 years ago, niggas was playing basketball in America. That's amazing.
Hey, P, you know what's funny? As you saying that, I'm scrolling on my feed on YouTube. I'm looking at a picture of an Olmec statue holding the ball and Michael Jordan, bro.
Yeah, man, they got all kind. They had even little league football, basketball teams, just like they do today. Nothing's new, mind you. 5,000 years ago, they got apartments. 5,000 years ago, they got government. 5,000 years ago, they got tax systems. 5,000 years ago, they got civic centers and ball courts. There's nothing new. I'm just putting this in perspective for you guys. So let's get into some of this culture. Olmec were the first people to produce and play with rubber balls, spherical objects that are widely used in many sports and games today. A rubber ball dated to 1000 BC has been found in the Olmec site of Laventa, and it was made from the sap and latex of the tree indigenous to those areas. So this is organic. Nobody taught them this. This is something that they developed. The Olmec, who culture flourished in what is 1700 to 400 BCE, were the first manufacturers of the objects made of rubber. They were later, they were later Maya and Aztec that followed the solid rubber balls that were used in performing team sports on huge ball courts. I didn't say that. They said that. Team sport on huge ball courts. Okay. The Mayan culture, who arose in what is now 1500 BCE, which we got more evidence of a Mayan going around the same time as Olmec, so it proves that they are not separate people, that they are one and the same. That's when you get into Dr. David Richard Hansen's work, who found El Mirador, which is the late which is the late classic period Mayan site. The Aztec Empire, who established their culture, what is 1100 AD, rubber balls were so highly valued in the codexes of the Mendoza that it counts and enlists 16,000 rubber balls being paid by a coastal province of the Aztec emperor. You understand that? Listen, that's how you know that these niggas revered us. Did you just read that shit, nigga?
Bro, the Mendoza Codex is them codexes that you show with them holding the mongoloids, man. That's the Mendoza Codex. Not
Absolutely.
that one,
And
the
so,
other ones. The other ones. I mean that's
oh,
part of it. That's part of the
excuse me.
oh
Let's
man, I
get
forgot
into it. So listen,
that right
these
there.
people said, listen, we love this basketball game so much. Bring me all the basketballs y'all can find. They found 16,000 of them, and the nigga bought them all. He bought them all. That's what it just said in the source. Y'all, that's it. He paid for them. Look, he 16,000 rubber balls paid by the coastal Aztec Inca. Nigga love basketball more than, and listen, mind you, we talking about niggas like Tupac Amaru, niggas like Montezuma. These are Incas and shit. These are Aztecs and shit. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but you know what? If they calling them emperors and all this other type of shit, what you think they was calling the people in North America?
That, Emperor Brim, Emperor Tammany, or Chief Tammany, or Chief Brim. This is what they done played it with the primitive talking point and gave you chief and took away your emperor status.
Yeah, emperor. That nigga don't sound like he part of no peon.
These was a
He,
saga. You would
yeah,
call these people a
he sound like
saga.
he's part of a establishment.
Yeah, these niggas are part of a huge establishment. You see what I'm saying? So that's what we're looking at when we're dealing with some of this OMAC shit. A lot of basketball which is played by indigenous people that claim to be indigenous people from America all the way still to this day. And let me show you a little image of the little figurine found. Now listen, this is a little league statue. When you look at them OMACs, that's the NBA. You understand me? Some of them niggas NBA players, but this little league, this a little league, little statue.
Hey, look, that nigga look like he got a Mr. T haircut, bro.
Yeah,
Go
he got a
back to the top. He
mohawk,
like he got a
big ass.
mohawk.
He got the 6 gauges in his ear, big ass, probably gold chain. After he won MVP in the little league, you know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
This little league football, this pee wee. You understand? Shout out to everybody in the building, man. We about to wrap it up, man. Sorry, I had it only planned just to go an hour, but you know how it is when we get into some of this information, you guys. There's so much to deal with. It becomes almost overwhelming. And as I'm freestyling, going through more sources to provide and give you some one-on-one Aboriginal history one-on-one, I'm finding so much other things. But we're going to go to agriculture. We're on our way to agriculture, which is before we get to agriculture, shit, I keep finding more shit. You guys don't blame me. Don't blame me, you guys. I just keep finding more shit. All right, so don't put it all the way on me. But we got to get to this right quick. Shout out to everybody in the building. Drop a fire emoji if you can hear me. I feel like I'm having some difficulties on my audio, so just drop a fire emoji in the chat. All right. Apartment complexes. If anybody don't know what apartment complexes is, we just read, and everybody should know in 2023. But it's a family dwelling, and this is found about this is found about 1 AD. They find one at 1 AD. That makes it over 2,000 years old that people was documented living in apartment complexes. And I'm not saying apartment complexes. The experts says apartment complexes. Indigenous people from tribes in both North and Mesoamerica living in groupings of multi-family dwellings that contain living quarters for the families, as well as a shared in common with other families. Although multi-families, let's get into it. Although multi-family dwellings were built by other cultures, American Indians constructed some of the largest and most impressive in the world. Now, you understand this. This is very significant when we deal with pyramid building. The same people who built pyramids are the exact same people who built complexes. While they was building the pyramids, they was living in apartment complexes. They would go to work at the pyramid, come home to the apartment complex. I'm just giving it in perspective here. Okay. I said the residentials of the first urban centers in the world. Listen, residents of, let me highlight this because I'm not saying this. I'm really not. These guys are saying this, the experts. The first of the residents of the first urban center in the world. American Aboriginal people lived in the first urban center. That means like a neighborhood that has streets and signs and, had their own homes and shit like that. Let's get into this, man. We're not done. Let's get into it. All right. All right, so the residents of the first urban center in the New World built the oldest of the such major complexes in the Americas in the city of Teotihuacan, which is located in what is now central Mexico on the site of Mexico City. This city flourished in the first 1,000 years after AD. So at 1 AD, this is when they was popping. That's about 2,000 years ago. It is the only Mesoamerican city that has multi-family dwellings. Archaeologists who are assured of who the people of Teotihuacan were, where they came from, and what happened to them, have found the remains of the block after block of one-story stucco adobe apartment buildings. So they keep going block after block after block of ancient historical sites, and they're finding apartment after apartment after apartment. They find them brick structure after brick structure after brick structure. Okay, so let's get into some North America. The Anasazi ancestors of the modern Pueblo people built apartment complexes farther to the north. The Anasazi lived in what is now New Mexico, Arizona, also California, Utah, Colorado. Anasazi adobe cliff dwellings consist of hundreds of rooms. Hundreds of rooms, you guys. And like I said, This is not just me saying this. Let's get into some of the sources for this. And here goes one of these 2,000-year-old apartment complexes. Here goes an image of a 2,000-year-old apartment complex. Going back 2,000 years ago, this is what they would have looked like. Multi-family dwellings, or the first American apartment complexes, were common throughout the Southwest. Taos Pueblos, still occupied today, are a prime example of the Pueblo-style architect invented by the Anasazi, who began building their structures in the Southwest area around 700 AD. This photo was taken in 1941 and is documented in highlighted numbers right here in the National Archives Records Administration at College Park. All right. So, and let's give you some more sources for that, just to get into. Hold on. Shit. All right, here we go. Native American architecture. Let's get into that. Let's zoom in on that. Here go a couple sources, because I'm not the guy making this up. This is all studies. Native American architect, Oxford University, Press Ruins of Southwest, and an archaeological guide published in Northland Publishing. We'll list the other sources on the screen for you. The study of anthropology of the Huron forms of the North America. So yeah, man. Like I said, this is an encyclopedia. It's loaded with overwhelming sources. Shout out to you guys that's being skeptical. It keeps me on my toes. I really do appreciate that from you guys. Let's get into the last bit of the scratch. I'm trying to get there, you guys. We're on our way to agriculture, and we're going to end it on agriculture. Fuck, I keep saying more shit. I gotta go to it. Fuck it, I'll get to that on another note. Get to that in another note. Man, like the study of anatomy, like when you get into that, documented by our ancestors, they understood the body more than science have an understanding of it today. Seriously. Our ancestors in America, American Indians, American Aborigines, the American gods, what I like to call, man, the knowledge we have when it comes to us, our surroundings, it shows. It shows. It shows. It really do. You know. So let's get into agriculture. Let's get into agriculture. Let's get a few more people to support the channel too, man. Let's get a few more people to support the channel, man. We kicking out some heat tonight, man. Hopefully y'all enjoying this. Hopefully y'all rocking with y'all brother tonight. All right. All right. Shout out to everybody in the building. All righty. Agriculture. 8,000 to 7,000 BCE. Can someone give me the how old that is in the chat? It's from 8,000 to 7,000 BCE. I would like somebody in the chat to give me the how long ago that was. How many years ago is 8,000 BC? Let's see if you guys are paying attention in the chat. Let's see how many of my brothers and sisters are paying attention in the chat. We might be on a delay. Yeah, agriculture goes back 8 to 7,000 BC. How many years ago is that, you guys? Before we move on, I want to see if we can get some. Somebody said 10K. Okay. 10K at the max. Shout out to y'all. 10,023. Shout out to Naya Boohoo. I appreciate that. Let's continue. Agriculture, the science of cultivating the soil to produce crops, arose independently in 4 areas of the world. All right, so they're not saying it come from anyone. It independently, all 4 corners of the world, they all have agriculture popping up independently around the same time, which you can accumulate that they probably had human activity of popping up around the same time. That's how we get into more document that we all do not come from Africa. Not even produce and agriculture and plants don't even come from the same area as we just mentioned. So it all independently popped up in all four areas of the world, two of them in the Western Hemisphere. So out of four places it popped up, two of them is in the Americas. So we the big dogs when it comes to this. Farming based off corn, squash, and beans began in the floodplains of Teotihuacan Valley in what is now Mexico, about 8 to 7,000 BC, which is about 10 to 9,000 years ago. At about the same time, the manic and the sweet potato cultivation arose in the tropical forest areas of what is now Brazil and Guatemala. The potato-based farming developed in the mountains of the highlands of the Andes of what is now Peru. Indigenous peoples living in the eastern woodlands of what is now the United States independently. Now, listen, the eastern woodlands, that's the southeast, that's in the United States. The eastern woodlands, right, people begin cultivating chinopah, which is goosefoot, marsh elder, swamp weed, squash, sunflower, etc., knotweed, and other things, right? And they started producing grasses were also domesticated. All this shit was domesticated, grown in that particular area by those people. All of these particular plants grew along river floodplains by 2000 BC. That's 2000 BC. We talking 4,000 years ago. In America, they was domesticating plants, right? In these particular areas, strictly for having areas picked out strictly for food, is going back 4,000 years ago. And they falsely used the word Native American in the Eastern Hemisphere. North American were planting and harvesting at least four of these plants and were well on the way to depending on agriculture rather than gathering for the livelihood. So, instead of going out hunter and gatherers, which we never was, we can peep that shit. You see what I'm saying? We can peep that. Why the fuck would you be hunter and gatherer when you already had the science? What type of nigga can build a hoodie going back 15,000 years ago in North America, or what they call Inuit area? Oh, that's like Detroit, Canada, Alaska. That's like Inuit area. That's the cold areas. Of course, you're gonna need a fucking hoodie. And I'm gonna end this live stream right here on that, man. I'm gonna end the live stream right here on that. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. I really enjoyed the live stream. This was one of the ones. This was one of the ones. Drop a fire emoji in the chat if y'all really enjoyed the live stream. Drop a fire emoji in the chat if y'all enjoyed the live stream, man. I might show y'all one more little thing before we get out of here. I'm gonna show y'all one more thing. I'll show y'all some shit going back super far in America. On before pale skin gene existed. I'm about to show y'all some shit. I ain't even getting to the names like Alaska. I ain't gonna get into that. That comes from the Algonquin. Y'all know that comes from the Algonquin. Ain't that funny that I ain't gonna get into the names like that comes from the Algonquin too. Alabama, the way you say that, that comes from the Algonquin. Oh my god. Hold on, I gotta show y'all this shit before I go, y'all. Shout out to my brother A1. You sleep over there, man? I'm gonna put A1 to sleep. Y'all see how this is? Some bullshit. Bro. He like, nigga, I done heard this shit a billion times. Alright, hold on. Let me show y'all this. Hold on, let me put this in the chat. Hold on. What the fuck going on? Let me get it together, you guys. My bad. Is everybody good in the chat? I'll find that shit on another one. It was something I want to pull up. I'll catch y'all on another one, man. Peace and love to all the American Aborigines. If y'all enjoyed the live stream, support the channel, man. Cash App and PayPal information is ticking across at the bottom of the screen. Cash App information is on the screen. Pin. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Let me see how many likes we got in here. We got 177 likes with 164 people in here. I won't complain at this present time. Peace and love to everybody in the building. I'll see you on the next one, man. Make sure y'all be aware, stay vigilant, stay dangerous. It's your brother Aboriginal Power. We out. Peace.
See, my life has been in motion. I'm a little windy. I'm not giving up yet. If you with me, time to place up your bet. Ain't no turning back, got niggas who ran. When we caught his ass, got caught in that jam. Yeah, you know who I am. Yeah, you know who I am. I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. Yeah, you can feel it coming. Fake love, that snake you in your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause